After we're done, we just let them go on in.
And there we go. We are. Hi, Barry. How's tricks, mate? Got a special guest on. Oh, yeah. Just reading the. Sorry, apologies for that. Welcome to the show. We've got a special guest tonight. We've got none other than Fred Henry in, also known as Pappy. I think he's known as that to a lot of his friends and followers. He's got a lot of followers on YouTube. His channel, I think, is Hot Rods. I think it's called West GA Hot Rods and Customs or something.
West Georgia Rides and Customs.
Yep.
Yeah. So Josh will be interviewing him very soon. He's going to drop in. So first of all, we're just going to go around. We're going to have a quick look at what we've been working on this week and go from there. So I'm going to go first this week. And basically, everyone knows I've been working on the A6 Intruder, and I've been having a bit of a slow thing with it. I've not been doing much. I'm just going to bring the screen up on me. And I've actually done a bit this week. I've actually cracked on and I think I got quite a bit done. So this is where we're at the moment. So the decals are...
Yeah, you got a lot done on that, Mark.
Damn.
Yeah. Getting there. I've got the decals on, which I'm quite pleased with. They've gone on really well. Pardon, just let me just bring in.
There he is.
Much better.
So,
Much better.
Put it back on you, Mark, so we can see the plane.
Oh yeah, sorry. I didn't realise that it locked out when you.
It'll revert to the. There you go.
Yeah. So this is where I'm at. So yes, I did manage to get quite a bit done since the last time you saw it. The decals, the landing gear on. I don't believe it was on before. I've got the hinge units on the plane. So obviously, I've cut my wings in half. I'm going to have them folded. There's touch-ups still left to do. Little things have got to be done. The refueling probes not been done or anything like that. So then we flip over. There's not much in the way of decaling on the bottom at the moment. Gordon has got a couple of pictures in our Hangout link, which I will look at. I've got the arrestor hook painted. So that's where I'm at with that. I also managed to finally get the rockets and these bombs all painted up in olive drab. So now there's a couple of things with this. The paint schedule has you painting these fins in a different colour, like a grey colour. Now I've gone with drab all over because Gordon has one of these units, and it's olive drab. So, my friend Bob, he done his in grey, and I didn't like the look of them. So I thought, you know what? I know that the unit that Gordon's got could have come from any plane and been, but I've decided that I want to go with olive drab on them. I don't like the grey fins and the green front. And there's quite a few of those. I'm also going to be loading them differently onto the wings. Traditionally, when we build planes, we always put everything symmetrical. So your collection of rockets or bombs will go, one on the outside left, one on the outside right. But on this one, I'm going to put both of these. There's two rails with 6 rockets on, and I'm going to put them both on the left side as you're looking at it. So it would be the right side if you're sat in the pilot seat. It's not symmetrical, but I'm basing this on a picture I saw, which again I think Gordon sent. It's some pictures of the 86 intruders, and I noticed that all the rockets were on one side. And I thought, well, that's the way I'm going to do it. So it is different. I like it, and it's there's something to back up why. If somebody comes up to me and says, "Oh, they always loaded them symmetrically," I can pull that photo out and say, "Well, I'm going off this," and you can't really argue with that then. But that's where I'm at. Still a long way to go, but I've suddenly started enjoying it again. I'd reached the point where I wasn't enjoying it, and it just sat there, and I just done nothing. But I have actually very slowly started to get the mojo back, started getting a bit more interest, and we're going from there, and we're looking. I'm not sure what our next build's going to be. At the moment. Nice. So many possibilities. So that's what I've been doing. Who wants to go next?
I finished one thing. I can go ahead and just show it real quick. I was doing a couple of cars, and then I got sidetracked, as usual.
Come on, we all know it's squirrelitis. Come on now.
The squirrel got me, yeah. Yeah, really. So what I've been doing, let me see if I can switch my camera real quick. There we go. Is I finished this Vampirella.
Oh, wow.
Wow. I've really been following that one, Gil.
Yeah, this is an NY3D Creations piece. So, yeah, I just I've always been a fan of the comics when I was a kid. So when he popped this one up, it was like I gotta have it, and let's see if I can get the eye. There's her eyes, So yeah, this is it's a really nice piece. I had fun doing it, and as you can see, I got a couple of commissions I'm doing. Some Lady Deadpool, so that's gonna do it next. But yeah, this is what I've been working on, guys. So,
that is exceptional, Gil. As is all of the projects you do are just a real treat to look forward to. Honestly,
there's like I was showing Pappy earlier. You guys earlier, I've got these two cars here that I'm gonna finish working on. This is 60, I think it's AMT's 67 Camaro. I'm not a car guy, but I do enjoy doing them. I mean, I like
look at a finish on that.
So this is what I was telling Pappy. I put the bare metal foil, the gold bare metal foil on there, and it just kept coming off like gold leaf. So I ended up taking it all off and then repainting it. Painted it with a brush. Now this one, same thing, but I have to touch something. I have to redo the hood or the trunk. You see that right there? There was when I went in with a scriber, the scriber jumped right here, and I didn't see it until I went and I started cutting and polishing it. You could see that it wasn't a scratch; it was just a dark black line in there.
Mm-hmm.
Got to take it off. So I had to sand. I'm going to sand this all down. Back down to this, prime it again, and then reshoot the trunk. But yeah, this is the black one. I really like this paint. This is a
shame. And it a crying shame when you done such. Look at the finish on that other one.
Yeah,
that mirror light finish. There's no distortion.
What clear did you use, Gil?
This is a 2-part clear. It's the automotive clear.
Yeah.
So that's what I used on it. This one here has only got a little bit on there because I was still cutting and polishing it. So I'm gonna have to go over, and once I'm done with it, it's not cut and polished yet. But yeah, this one is. So I got to be real careful not to scratch that up. But yeah, I mean, it's the 2-part clear is a really durable clear. But you know what? That there's if I've seen and I've used it, the testers, the extreme lacquer, the clear.
Oh yeah, mm-hmm.
That stuff is pretty good. It's not bad.
Yeah, I still every now and then I'll use it. I keep a couple of the testers. I think it's called the wet look.
Yeah, the wet look.
Yeah, man, I keep that between that and Let's see, what else have I used? The Extreme, which is really, I think that's the same formula.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's the same thing.
But they between that and Tamiya Clear, I mean,
Yeah.
I really, that's what makes them pop as far as
Yeah.
that shine for.
I mean, I'm not a car builder like you are, Pep, but the ones that I have done, I think the first two I did were done with the Tamiya.
Yeah.
And then that was years ago. And then now it's just, because I got a massive spray booth in the other room. So I put close the door, put all the gear on and shoot it with the clear.
Mm-hmm.
Part clear,
And then warn everyone in the house.
Oh yeah. Everybody, my wife said, "What's that smell?" Oh, you painted the car. She knows right away when you smell it.
Oh yeah.
I don't care what kind of spray booth you got, you're still gonna get some residual stink,
Yep.
That's what I was doing, Mark.
So,
Okay.
Fred, what are you working on?
Well, like I told y'all earlier, patience. I was doing some bare metal foil when I got the invite, and finished that up. Right now, I'm working on some carpeting for this. I started the 1970 Revell kit. It's the 70 CUDA.
Oh,
Which
that's
I love. I mean,
yeah.
a lot of you guys, if y'all follow my channel, you know I love Pro Street.
Oh yeah.
And there's this. Let me see. Let me get it within. This is what I've come up with as far as the color. Everybody's like, "Hey, is that sublime green?" No, it's not. It's actually it's a candy lime green with a silver base.
Oh, that is pretty. Yeah, that green came out nice.
I mean, it's a very close brother to sublime green, but it's a candy green, which I had to do the silver base and then come back with the candy green, and then I think this is about 4 coats of Tamiya TS13.
Okay.
So, but that's that right there. Then
Now,
everybody.
Do you shoot that time? You're not decanned it. You're shooting it right out of can or what?
Well, caught me up. You put me in a corner, Gil.
Well, no, I mean
normally I do decant it and use it. Run it through my airbrush. There's been a lot of people. A lot of people are like, they think they've got to, go out and first thing they ask you, how do you get a good show quality finish? Do I have to go and buy do I have to go to Extreme and buy an air compressor and then getting an airbrush and learning to use an airbrush? So with this build right here, I thought, you know what? I'm going to debunk a lot of the mysteries of doing a quality, trying to do one. I'm not going to say what I do is right, but everything on this finish right here,
right out of the can,
from the base silver to this right here, which this is it's candy lime green. It's TS52. To that, to the TS13 clear, that came straight out of the rattle can.
Yep.
No airbrush.
I did that. I did the purple, the Camaro, the purple one.
Yeah.
The only thing I used on an airbrush was the clear, but that came straight out of the can. And I mean, if you do it, if you're careful and you do it right, you can get them. And that Pappy, that finish was beautiful, right out of the can, gorgeous.
Thank you. Yeah, I like adding on to my Pro Street collection because y'all were looking at a while ago when we was trying to get the camera straightened out. I was kind of panning around. And everybody was like, "Wow!" And when I if I was to pan back, all above me right here are all my bills, and I'd say about 10% of them are all Pro Street.
Pro Street, yeah.
So, but now I do. If right behind me, y'all see some old warbirds sitting back there too. So, so I do my fair share of the warbirds as well. But right now, I mean, it's just I just try to concentrate on one, and then I'll get an idea of I'll see something. When I go and retire for the evening, I'll go in there and I'll surf through the old internet and find something that really catches my eye and go, you know what, I'm going to try to build that.
Right.
I've got a couple still rattling around in the noggin up here. So I'll, after a while, we'll talk about that one. What's rattling around? It's not all my marbles or screws, but yeah, but
Okay.
it's I got a few going on up here.
Hey, Gordon, when we came in, you were working on something. Let's see what you got, buddy.
Yeah, let's have a look at Gordon's
Oh, the spy plane or the drone.
drone. Yeah.
Yeah, the Global Hawk.
Man, that thing is massive with those wings.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah.
Throw that thing like a boomerang and see if it comes back.
I mean, I always thought the object of drones were to be small and inconspicuous, but you would see that thing.
At the altitude it flies at, Mark, I doubt it.
It must have one hell of a camera on it.
I was fixing to say you could put some RC on there, probably a good 2 or 3 channel RC transmitter, and fly that.
Yeah, these are the ones that they actually fly with Xbox controllers.
Well, I don't know if it's an
I know, like I think they fly out of most of those. They fly out of there's Arizona, New Mexico, somewhere around there. Base with those, and I saw pictures of that, and that thing, that in real life, that thing is huge.
Yeah,
that's a big beast.
Yeah, it's almost ready for paint. It's same as Gil said. I was just rescribing a few panel lines that I'd missed, so I've just touched them in, and that's almost ready for paint now. So it's going to be what is it? White on the top, white upper wings, and the fuselage is grey. The bottom's all grey, but I break it up in different colours in it.
Gordon, do they carry any defensive capabilities, them drones?
As far as I'm aware, the Global Hawk doesn't know.
They must have some sort of self.
What's that, Mark?
Surely they wouldn't want them falling into the hands of whoever.
As far as I'm aware, a lot of the drones, especially that one, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm positive it's got a self-destruct mechanism in it, like the U2 has.
Yeah, it would make sense.
The Global Hawk flies up in U2 Blackbird territory.
Yeah, 80,000 feet. Yeah,
60-odd, 70-odd thousand feet, right? But I think it's the Reaper and the other one that they do. They are the ones that fly up to, I think it's about 10, 15, 20,000 feet, and they are the ones that are armed. They put GBUs and Hellfires and stuff on them. And stuff, but when the box came, fault sensor security sort of thing, when I opened it up, I thought, bloody hell, this is big. But, yeah, I've been working on that, and I've been doing the VC10 from the kit review the other week.
There you go.
Oh yeah.
So something more of a manageable scale. Yeah, got a tail. I've put some lead in the nose tonight to stop it sitting on its rear end, because the engines are mounted on the back. You've got a big whale tail on the top here and stuff, so it's going to be a bit of a tail to yourself. Put some lead in the nose. So
how are you going to bring?
Quite big though, aren't they?
How are you going to? What company are you going to brand that? Delta?
BLE.
Oh, okay.
I don't usually build things straight out the box. I usually add something.
Mm-hmm.
But it's going to be out the box, because I did a kit review on it last week. And it's going to be built straight out the box to actually see how good it is. So that's what I've been thinking this week.
All right, Josh.
Let me just move over to Josh.
So, with Halloween being next weekend, I've kind of been working on a Halloween costume a little bit. So I put this together this week.
What's that going to call? Magneto.
Yeah, more or less. And then I'm going to strap this to the front of it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So that's kind of what I've been working on. Nothing too big. I bought a couple more of these light kits. I've probably got about 5, 6 of them now. So spaceships are going to be probably my next thing after Halloween. And then other than that, I really I've been working 6 days a week, so I haven't. That's all I've been able to do.
Right.
Alrighty.
Okay. So that's it. That's everyone, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Right. So drum roll. The main event.
So Fred, when did you first start in the hobby?
Oh, right. I was just about to introduce him, but we've skipped that.
Yeah, introduce the brother, man, so people watching can they know who he is.
Oh god.
So yeah. So now we've got our interview with Fred Henry. Many of his followers and friends know him as Pappy, and his channel is West GA Rod and Customs, I believe.
That is correct.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
He's a prolific car builder, and we've seen a lot. I've been fortunate enough to have a look through some of his videos today, and going to hand off to Josh now, who will interrogate the man. And,
Whoa! Let's not go that. Anyway, Fred. So when did you get into the hobby?
Oh goodness, we're really going to date ourselves now. Actually, when I was a kid, I mean, I'd get my allowance and I'd go to the store, and that'd be the first thing I'd be like, I'd buy the old, some Revell kits or things like that. And then, but I did it for as a kid growing up, and then I got out of it, of course, for a while. Got into other things. I found love for hot rods, and that's one reason why I'm so why I like building what I build now, as far as like Pro Street, things like that. But I grew up around people who did do 1-to-1 scale hot rodding and got into it myself. But the love for old muscle cars, the Chevelles, the Camaros, the Cudas, like what I've got on my bench right now, that's just, it's art to me, and that's what I like to do now. But going back to the question, when I got back into it was like to the scale that I'm doing now, probably 10 years ago, I got back into it, and took a lot. I went to probably the first model show I'd ever went to here in Atlanta. Well, actually Smyrna. They have the big Acme show. Everybody talks about the Acme show. I didn't know. I didn't know that much about it, and I had heard for years, about the Acme, which is Atlanta Car Modelers Enthusiast Club. And I went to that first show probably 5, maybe 6 years ago, and I fell in love with it. I was just like, man, But I got onto YouTube trying to find tips and techniques, how to move up to that next level. And I found guys like found channels Gilbert and Josh, Dr. Cranky, CT Speed Shop, Chevy Cheeseburger, Man Cave Models, Tim Halsey. I'm throwing names out there. A lot of them still post, but anyhow, I went to the show at Acme. I didn't put anything on the table. but I bought a lot of stuff and brought it back home. But I kind of formed a friendship with Chevy Cheeseburger, Chip Reimer.
Right.
And I found out he was, he sold a lot of aftermarket stuff, and then that friendship grew. And he was like, send me some pictures of your bills. And then when I finished one, I'm my worst critic. I thought it looked like crap, but Chip was like, dude, you need to you need to do your own YouTube channel. I'm like, I don't know how. So it took a lot of arm twisting, and it took a lot of help from a lot of people in the community as far as those guys. And then once I started, I got a channel established on YouTube, and I got into a hangout one night. I'm trying to remember whose it was, but then I got into another hangout. I was kind of, in the comments and everything. I got invited to, used to be Friday night hangout. And I know Gil, we used to compete. It was a Young Model Master, Skyler Jajola.
Oh, yeah.
Tim, just like us, we would get on Friday nights, and we felt bad about it. To be honest, Gil, we were competing with Gil, with Gil, Red Dragon Model Shop. And we were like, do we watch Gil or do we continue to do it? So we were.
The funny thing is, I would have you guys, two screens up. I'd be watching you guys.
That's what I was doing.
Hang on.
But we really, and it grew from that. And then I would get on, it got to where it was just every Friday night we were having the Friday night, Young Model Masters Friday night hangout. And then, but what I would do, I would be on like I am now, I'm on my iPad, but I would take my phone and watch Gil and comment on his, on his live. So
some people may not know this, but you work for an airline, right? Is there anything in the hobby that you've learned from your job?
Precision. Well, honestly, I mean, when I do I work in the airline industry, but when I do, if I do a plane, I'm detail oriented. I mean, you can look at my bills and tell that. So,
yeah.
I try to be.
Absolutely.
But when I do an aircraft, I get very detail oriented. I'm like, hey, I've been up under an aircraft, so I know what it looks like, and I know what I'm expecting out of that bill. So, do I want it to look like, if I was actually walking up under that aircraft, or do I just want it to look like it's a static model? So,
right.
But yeah, that's probably one of the things. I mean, if you're in the airline industry, being precise is one of the things, and being detail oriented. That's you have to appreciate that, especially when you're 55,000 feet up in the air and you go, I hope everything's working good. So you got to appreciate that. My wife and I, we took a trip to New York last September, and I posted on my Instagram, and it was looking out at the wing, and the winglet right there, and I just posted on there. I said, it's a good thing to see all this out here working correctly. If not, I wouldn't make it back.
So you do a bunch of military stuff. What's the coolest airplane or military thing you've done that way?
Golly, man, I'm gonna have to look around on that as I look around the room. Plus, there's stuff out there in our. I put a lot of stuff out in our living room. Probably the coolest thing that I've done to date, and I was very proud of how it turned out, was the Red Baron. I did a little small vignette of the Red Baron.
Yeah, that was cool.
And I would say that's probably, and I mean, I'm like I said earlier, I'm my own critic, and I like to do each one. I like to at least try to do something either a little bit bigger or a little bit better. So
Can I just ask which Red Baron was that? Was that the Meng one? Because I've just bought the Meng one.
Actually, no. It was that was the Revell. Probably need to explain myself a little bit more. I don't have the room my hobby room right here. I wish I had the room to where I could build, 148 scale and 130, 132nd. I don't build in that scale. I've got some out in my stash that I future builds, but I've got I build a lot of 172nd scale. As long as these right here and these still work pretty good, and I'm able to handle 172nd scale, I'll probably continue. But most of the builds that I've got either in here or in the living room, they're all going to be 172nd scale.
I know. I actually admire that more than. So I've built. I normally always go for 132nd or 148 because they're bigger. Yeah. The pieces are easier to see, and you can see more detail because of the size. But when it comes to 172nd, the pieces are so tiny. The detail's there, but it's very tiny.
Yeah.
And I have complete admiration for anyone that can work at that scale. Yeah, anyone that thinks that a 172nd kit is easy is sorely mistaken.
It is.
Yep.
But but most of the ones that I've got in the living room, they're on our coffee tables and things. I've done vignettes. I've done small figurines. I've done a couple of small vignettes with a couple of Navy SEAL entries where they're entering the beach.
Cool.
Traversing through the jungle. I've done a couple of smaller vignettes with that. Just trying to think of some others. I did a BF 109 last year, where it's just sitting on the flight deck with the pilot and his dog standing beside the plane, just sitting static. So, just idea pops into my head, and I just I'll push something to the side and pull it out, and either go to the stash and start building again, or something will get sidebarred. Let me put it that way.
Right.
So with that being said, what's the coolest car kit that you've done so far, since you do both?
Wow.
They're all cool.
Well, thank you.
And he's all over the place. Like, you do 4x4s, you do cars, it's not just cars. It's everything, right?
I guess the ones, and when going back to your question, Josh, about how long have I been doing it or how long have I been in the hobby? I've been in the hobby since, like I said, like I was a kid. But cars and trucks have always been my passion. But I never would have fathomed. Number one, I have a channel on YouTube, as well as the following that I have on YouTube, the following that I have on Instagram, the followers that I have on Facebook. And one of the things when I try to set a goal, not really set a goal, but I want to, improve on each build, no matter what. But I guess probably the best, or I wouldn't say, I really don't want to sound, the best, but the ones that I've enjoyed the most are probably the ones that I never would have thought this would have ever happened. That I never got one of my builds in a magazine. And probably the ones that I've had in the magazine were probably the ones that I enjoyed the most. Because, when you, like Scale Auto or Fine Scale Magazine, published, to be published in a magazine and have your build put in there and have millions of people to look at it. Yeah, that's, I'd say probably, probably the big black Blazer. That's probably been the best one that I really enjoyed building.
Yeah. That was the one you put on 35s or whatever, right?
Yeah. That one.
That was really, really cool.
Well, thank you. That's actually the one. Last year, I was in the top 10 at Acme with that one. So that was, that was something I was very proud of. I've always tried to, when I go to Acme each year, I was like, man, I wished I could win a top 10. And last year when they called my name out, I thought everybody was going to have to pick me up off the floor. Like, Pappy, you just won top 10. I'm like, what? It was kind of a shock, but it's really an honor to be, to have a lot of people that at shows like what you do and, give you an honor like that. But So Ludy's question, probably the Blazer. That's probably the one that I really like building the most.
So let's stay on the Acme topic.
Okay.
If you were going to go to when you go to Acme, what's the coolest thing? All the cars or all the YouTube people that go down there? Because there's a bunch of people that are in the YouTube community that go to that show, right?
Right. There's a lot. They have a big turnout of YouTube, but getting to hang out with like-minded, people like us, hanging out with y'all. That's the fun. I mean, I could not even take a bill down there and just go down there and spend $100 and hang out with with a lot of my friends that, that we can talk cars, we can talk models, just enjoy, the camaraderie of what we're doing. It's 3 days. Well, I wouldn't say, really, I mean, everybody comes in like on a Friday and we go to the host hotel. We do all of our registration and then we act like kids again. I mean, we get out there and we act like, we're talking cars, but then we go out to eat. And then the day of the show, we get there pretty early and then we set up and we get to hang around, and talk cars again. But it's just 3 fun days of getting hang out with your friends and talk cars. And getting back to your youth again.
And there's the dinner, right? One of the days that gets Dr. Cranky, Pablo.
Yeah.
I want to say there's a bunch of others, but I always see the picture every year when the convention is, and it's really cool to see that many of the people that I watch at the same table.
Yeah,
I can only imagine the stories that come out of that.
Some that we can talk about, and some we can't.
Man,
what happens in Smyrna stays in Smyrna.
Stays in Smyrna.
Oh, but a couple years ago, not this last year, but the year before that. Let's see, last year was 2019. 2018. We had a lot of folks flying in from that I had never met before. We had talked to each other on YouTube and everything, but we never had a chance to meet each other one-on-one. Well, unfortunately, that year, right prior to about 2 weeks, I want to say about 2 to 3 weeks before the show, I got sick, and I didn't know what it was. I was actually scared because I wasn't getting health-wise. I wasn't getting better. I kept going to the doctor, and they started wanting to run these tests and everything. And then about a week before the show, there was, if you look back at some of the pictures that we posted from the show that weekend, I wasn't flush. It was like I had a fever is what I had. But what it turned out, I had contacted salmonella poisoning. Ooh. And I was sick. Oh my God. The day before the show, actually the Friday night before the show, I went down to register. And then I got to, we went to the Waffle House. Y'all know what a Waffle House is. Yeah. But it's just, I call them choking pukes, but it's just fast food is what it is. But we went in and I went out to eat with them at that Waffle House right up from the hotel. And and the next day at the show, I had to tell everybody, I said, I'd love to go out and eat dinner with everyone, but I just can't do it because it took it out. It really took it out of me to be at the show all day. And then it took about another 2 weeks to really recuperate from that. And I lost a lot of weight too, boy, I tell you, but I picked it back up though. But but it's just really I really enjoy it. I hate it this year that we're not going to get to, they're having it online, which is a great it's great to, I got an email just a while ago from Acme, from Wayne Weber's. He's the president of Acme, and it told at the moment how many entries they've got from online, and it's like, I want to say like it's over 1,400 entries.
Wow.
Oh,
what's
normally at that show? A couple hundred, right?
I'm sorry. What again, Joe?
It's normally what, like a couple hundred cars, right? Normally.
Actually, it does a roller coaster each year. Last year, I think there was like 500. I think about 500 cars and trucks or bills on the table. Then I think the year before that, I think there was like 600. It really depends on, as long as there's no other conflicting shows. And normally clubs respect that. They don't try to hold a show the day same weekend. So, but I think the most that's ever been on the table was about 700.
That's a lot of cars, man.
It is.
Hey, Pappy, that's mostly cars, though, right?
Cars and trucks. Yeah, there's no figures. There's some. They do have a diorama. They do have one where you can do stuff like that, but it's generally car and truck related.
It's primarily a car and truck show. Yeah. So so to come out in the top 10 or number one, man, that says a lot, man. When you got all those people there, man, that says a hell of a lot, Pat.
Well, it is, and it's all you're voting. The people, folks that come in, the visitors, the people that are entered in the show. We're voting on this is NNL, so you're being voted on by your peers.
Okay.
So it's not like an IPMS based where you have judges that's they're walking around and then they're looking at it and looking at your build and judging you like that. You're being judged by your own by other builders, by visitors that may have come in. They hand you a ballot. And you go around, and then each category you'll have whatever your like
right.
Open wheel, closed wheel, hot rod, street rods, and I think it's like 6 different ones. And you get to go through there, and you can only pick one. You can't write down like, well, number 302 or number 405 or things like that. You got to pick one. So depending on how many people come in, for the show, as well as visitors that gets handed a ballot. That's
even more remarkable because you have your own community. You don't have a bunch. Like I've been to shows, man, where you see something and you're like, that's nice, but this one is better. Yeah. But the one that's nice ends up taking the best in show, and you're like, really?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's one a few years back here in Illinois. They had one up in. I'm not going to mention the name of it. I'm not doing that. Anyway, there was this beautiful. Oh Jesus! It was one of those old time cars. Oh geez, I can't think of it. A Bugatti, I think it was, and it was just absolutely gorgeous. I mean, it stopped you in your tracks. That's how pretty this thing was, right? Beautiful. And right next to it was a '69 Mustang. When that Revell, the fastback one.
Yeah,
it was gorgeous. But the dude, when he put the windscreen in, he left the glue got on his finger and he left a little mark on the windshield, right?
Wow.
You could see where he tried to buff it off, but he didn't get it all off. But everybody knew who he was. So guess who won best in show? Was that car there? And that was the last time I went there. I said, you know what? I'm done with these people. I'm done with them. Because I've seen figures that are just simply amazing. Mm-hmm. And then you see one where maybe the eyeball is crooked, and the one with the eyeball that's crooked ends up winning. It's wow. And then you got right next to it, or maybe a couple of figures down, you got something that just stops you dead in your tracks. Like, wow, that is gorgeous. And that's what you get with judges at IPMS shows, man.
It is, and I mean, I've been to a lot of the local IPMS. Matter of fact, I go to one each year. Down in Jacksonville. I go to JaxCon. And matter of fact, let me grab something right quick now. At the JaxCon, I can find it. Excuse me. last year at JaxCon, and when Josh asked me just a minute ago, and I kind of while we were talking about that, Josh was asking me which one was my favorite, my favorite build or what have you. It's kind of like picking your favorite children.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, but at JaxCon last year, that's an IPMS show that they have down there, and I had actually forgot about it. And if if y'all, many of you guys, and I hate to see the scale autos, going bottom up, but hopefully the contest cars will come out again next year. It may be under fine scale, but I had forgot about this. My other child was photographed at JaxCon, and it was one. There it is. Let me get it. This Camaro right down here. That one right there. That was the 69 Z28. That's the Foose 1/12 scale Camaro.
Okay.
And for, like I say, for it to make contest. But the story behind that is I had been working on this bill for about 2 years, just off and on. And I had some paint problems with it. And oh my God, there was the first paint problem I had, I got a lot of orange peel in it. And I was like, nah, this is going into the pond. So I stripped it and started back again like a year later. And I was trying to get it finished for last year's Acme show. And I was able to get it finished. And I had it put in a box and everything. Well, the day of the show last year, I'm headed to the venue. And I had all my builds, and I packaged these builds in just, to keep them from breaking.
Right.
Driving, I had the Camaro sitting in a seat in a box with foam around it. A guy slams on his brakes in front of me.
Oh, no.
Because he missed his turn. Here goes this 1/12 scale 69 Camaro flying through the air to the dash. It lands down in the floorboard, and I'm like, oh my God, no. And I was probably a block from the venue where the show was at, and I pull in, and I was just like, I'm not gonna. I know this thing. It had knocked the windshield out. It had broke the rearview mirror off. You guys that build cars, you know how the windshields are, and this was all one-piece windshield from the front all the way to the back. Oh. And I carry a triage kit with me just for little things like that. I go into the show, and the car that I patterned it from was from a real good friend of mine, Rick Scott at Heartbeat Model Shop. He was standing there, and he said, did you bring it? And I had this bewildered look on my face like, yeah, it's here, but it's in about 3 pieces. And he was like, what? And I had to get it out and do a repair on the windshield, get it up in there, get all the little small pieces back onto the car. And it was a debacle. I was just like, man, I hated that. But after all the triage that I had to go to it, I carried it down to JaxCon in February of this year. And for it to make, even though it went through a crash and it made it into this, I was very proud. I was very proud. Yep. Because it was, God. Man, I was just like.
What's that magazine? I've not seen that one before.
It's Scale Auto. Each year they do Scale Auto magazine. They'll do let me get it. It's 400 of the greatest or the best models. And what they do, Scale Auto goes to a lot of the big shows, and I'm gonna have to. They'll go to Acme. They go to the Acme show. Let me see, the IPMS Nationals, which was held in Chattanooga a couple years ago. They go to a lot of the regionals for IPMS. But they right here. Let me open the page. If you get this magazine, it'll tell you down through here what shows that they went to, and they'll photograph. They'll go through there and they'll see a vehicle or a bill that they want to, possibly do a feature article on, and they'll put a card down by your bill. We would like to, Scale Auto Magazine would like to photograph your build for possible publication.
Right.
So, but each year,
wow.
Scale Auto does this as far as the contest cars of all the shows that they go to, and it's to be chosen in this category right here of 400 great models. Yeah, it's an honor. It humbles.
Yeah,
that's a big thing.
It humbles me.
That's incredible. I don't think, Gordon, am I correct? We've got nothing like that over here.
No, not as far as I'm aware.
No. So is that? Do you think we could get that in the UK? Is that?
I'm sure you
get that.
You know, honestly, I believe. Let me see. I know that they do. I'm trying to see. I know they did some. They covered some shows in Canada. Let's see. They also covered some.
They must have covered
Canada. They do cover the Euroscale modeling show in the Netherlands.
Right.
And that looks about it as far as overseas. Pretty much Canada. But if y'all have over in the UK, what I would suggest you to do is, of course, Scale Auto is no longer in business. They're owned by Comback Publishing, and Fine Scale, which I just got back from the hobby shop last night. Fine Scale Modeler is going to be doing a lot of the covering of shows and things like that, from what I understand. They're actually helping Acme with the online show this year. So if y'all, anybody and it's open, the online show is open to anyone. I mean, it's worldwide. There's entries right now, I know, and it told in my email a while ago how many overseas entries that was the online show. So you could probably, if y'all had a show in the UK, and you could probably call Fine Scale or get on or look up Comback Publishing and tell them that you have that you're having an event. They may have somebody locally that could take pictures and do submittal for the magazine. So.
Now, Fine Scale, that's they're down in your area, right? Your area, the U.S., right?
No.
Or are they down in Florida?
Actually, Josh, let me see. I think they're out of. Lord, I'm really gonna tell my age here. Let me put my glasses on.
Not in the UK. I don't think I've ever seen that magazine in the UK.
WH Smith Mark.
Oh, they said we can get Fine Scale Modeler.
Yeah, it comes out. We don't get it monthly like our model magazines, but you can pick it up from WH Smith because that's where I used to get it from.
Oh, right.
For some reason, Josh, I'm thinking California for some reason, but I could be wrong.
Oh wow, I was way off on that.
Yeah, but if you they've got an email address right here for. Let's see, for advertising, editorial. You could pretty much, like I say, just if you wanted letters to the editor, it would be at just editor@finescale.com. So you could, if y'all was having a show, I'm sure you could reach out to those folks and say, hey, we're having an event. How do we, how would we get coverage on it? Through your magazine.
Yeah, Mark, Dave Price says Fine Scale Modeler is available in the UK.
Yeah, WH Smith.
Oh, that's cool. So, do you remember the top 10 build that Chip used to do?
Boy, do I.
So that's where I found you, by the way. That's how I started following you.
That's how I found them. That's where I first found them, was through Chip.
How do we bring that back, Fred? You are the guy that I know will know the answer to this. How do we bring that competition back?
I would honestly, I remember one time Chip Reimer, which is Chevy Cheeseburger, when he started that. There was a lot of guys that I used to follow that kind of got out of the hobby, and they pretty much he put a shout out. If you're still around, reach out to me and blah blah blah. Well, Chip has kind of felt, he's gotten out of the hobby. I know he's doing a lot of camping and stuff now, and he's probably enjoying retirement life. But I would like to see, something like that come back, within the hobby. Somebody to take ownership of it, and say, hey, let's do a top 10. And some folks, some people do on YouTube. They try to get it started, but they, when Chip was doing it, he had the luxury of getting, he would, as far as whoever would win the top 10, first, second, or third, he would give a gift card out for his business, which was extreme scale detail, which I think he's retired that as well. But if we could get some sponsors, from to do something like that, that'd be great. I would love to do it. Unfortunately, I just don't have the time, to try to juggle something like that, as well as doing my building, as well as doing my honey-do list, and as well as trying to keep my head above water at work. So
not enough hours in the day.
My thing is, Josh, what is this thing you're on about here? What is this thing that you would like to try and bring back? Because I'm all for improving our hobby and trying to bring things back that that would help. So I don't know what you're on about.
So, do you watch the Discovery Channel?
Occasionally, yeah. I watch various.
So basically, they have a show called The Street Outlaws, right?
Right. Okay.
That's the point. You get 10 people or however many, and you compete on who has the best build for the week,
right,
the month, or and that was the point of that show. It was who had the best ride.
Yeah, so you'd get 10 people would it be the same car or the car build?
It would be a build. You tell them the 10 best builds. Now it doesn't have to be 10 people. I mean, 30 people can put them in there, but only 10 are going to get picked. And out of those 10, if I'm not mistaken, Pappy, out of those 10, only one won.
Usually the Chip. Oh well. When it was still being when Chip was still hosting it, he had kind of like I think it was like, I want to say it was always an odd number of judges that he knew, and what he would do is those judges could not enter any of their own bills. So once you would finish a bill like in 1 month. You would submit your bill to him, and those judges would they would look at paint finish, interior finish, engine finish, detail, things like that, and they would pretty much score you from 0 to 10,
right?
And
then they would each judge would they would pretty much average all that up per entry, and whoever came up with the most point, that's how they would decide first, second, third, and so forth. But usually, you would Chip would have it was usually like a $25 gift card, $10 gift card for second and third, things like that. It might have been 50, I forgot.
Yeah.
But like Josh was saying, that was and a lot of guys was that's how I became acquainted with a lot of the YouTubers. Was through that kind of a friendly. It was a friendly competition.
Yeah, but, something like that. To do something like that, it's been my experience. Like you said, they're not going to do it. Most guys, and I don't mean this as a slam, won't do it just for bragging rights. You know what I'm talking about, Fred.
Yeah.
They're going to give you their best if there's something coming out of it.
Yeah.
It's something, yeah. And usually the people that put that on, you have to have some kind of influence behind you. You got to be an influencer, somebody, a big name. Let me put it that way, because then Pappy's. Let's say hypothetically, Pappy's doing a top 10. Oh shit, they know your work. They're like, oh shit, I got to give the best. You know what I mean? You have to. That it's been my experience that, and I've seen, like you said, I've seen people try it, and it fizzles out, and stuff. It takes a lot of work to do stuff like that.
Yeah, it does.
I know, man. 48-hour build thing I did.
Yeah.
Woo!
I know. Yeah.
We all watched that, Gil. We know.
Oh, that was a train wreck. It was great when it was happening. If people didn't get what I sent out, I'm sending them a tracking thing. Oh, it didn't come in, and I'm like, oh man. And you know what? At the end of the day, it was great for the community, but it wasn't great for my pocketbook.
Yeah. That's
but most of that stuff was donated, but I still had to ship it out.
Oh yeah. People, people don't realize, shipping nowadays is, oh gosh, man, it's astronomical.
You know what the funny thing was? Well, it wasn't so bad if they were in Canada and the US, even the UK. But I had to send some books. I sent some stuff to Russia. I had to send some books to Belgium, I think it was. 3 books.
And then you had to send that Gundam to Australia.
Oh God, that cost me an arm and a leg, man. That Australian shipping. But I get to the post office. I got these 3 books. I got them packaged up, and everybody's telling me, well, there's a mail. It's cheaper if because there's publications. Oh no, it's not. When you're sending it to Europe, it's not. You got the U.S. postal. Then I had to pay a postage in France, I think it was, and then the Belgian postal. It ended up costing me $110 for 3 books.
Wow.
Whoa.
3 books. It was like, whoa, I'll never do this again.
It cost you $110 to send 3 books.
Well, the books were about that thick too, so they were heavy. They were heavy, so they went by weight. But I asked, I said, well, geez, these are books. Doesn't matter. If it was going to England or say France or whatever, it would have been one thing. But because it crossed the European Union and they had to go into Belgium, I got hit with 2 other fees. So it's like, even New Zealand, I sent something to New Zealand. It was expensive, but it wasn't that expensive,
Yeah.
But I know, that takes a lot. Something like that top 10 will take a lot of time, a lot of energy. Then you got to round up people that'll donate stuff. That's
yeah.
And if you're not shipping the stuff out, you got to worry about if they're going to ship it out. And it's like, and then when you do ship it out, did they get it? And if they got it, it's a pain in the rear end.
Yeah.
I'd love to be able to do something like that for the community, but no, I can't.
Put it back on you. Put it back on all of us, Mark, for a second.
Yeah, it's
I gotta tell you, Mark. I think it was a year ago, maybe 2 years ago. I was toying with the idea of doing it again, and I had a bunch of sponsors again, but for some reason they want to send the stuff here, so I end up with a pile of stuff here. Now that's all fine and dandy. That they're, I thanked them. I was really grateful for what they were going to offer. But I have to pay the shipping to go out.
Yeah,
dude. You don't realize if you do something like that. And I remember that. I mean, we gave out every hour. We were giving out prices every hour for 48 hours. There was a pile of stuff here, man. And we didn't think about. Well, I know I didn't. When that was all over, I started calculating. I thought, holy shit. Now, there are some people that helped me out with the shipping, but the vast majority of that came out of my pocket. And I thought, you know what? And then I won't do it again. I was thinking about doing it 2 years ago. I had people lined up, and I thought, you know what? I'm not going through that again.
I still get a lot of, we did, in the, especially with YouTube, we started doing a thing with shop cards, which, really, just, of course, I call mine West Georgia Rods and Customs. And, I just created just took one of my builds and made like a postcard. And I was, anybody that wanted one, I didn't, I just run up and, get some made at the print shop up here. But when you started sending them out to everybody, you got to calculate. Well, it costs. It costs to make them. Then it costs. Postage, which postage goes up every time the wind blows.
Yep.
And I still to this day, and I run out of shop cards, and I felt bad. I had a request for one the other day from someone that follows my YouTube channel. And I got to thinking, I thought, you know what? There's ways of getting around postage. I said, do you have a printer? Because I can send the format that I send to the printer to your printer, and you can print it off and do it yourself. So I was just like, if you've got access to a printer, I'll be glad to ship you, my PDF file to you, and that'd be the quickest way.
Curious.
Because, I hadn't had any printed out in a while.
How many people accepted that? Because it's my belief that in America you are incredibly polite. It just seems that whenever you meet anyone you don't know in America, you call them mom and sir, and and you just appear to be incredibly polite. That is not the case in England. We don't approach people with mom and sir.
That's just the way we were raised. Most of us, Yeah.
But, that's England, or you over there.
Yeah,
I was raised up. I was raised up by a Southern lady that if you didn't address them as sir, ma'am, or address them nicely, you got beat within an inch of your life. So,
I know that feeling, brother. My mother wasn't no Southern lady, but I'll tell you what, she knew all about that slipper if you didn't say sir.
You're not kidding there, Dick.
Yeah.
You are not kidding there, Dick.
I want to get back to that thing with the shop cards because I went through that, and then I was making stickers. I was having stickers made. The stickers are a little bit more expensive than the shop card. Then you're sending them out. So what I ended up doing was Teespring, and then I just had them make them and say, if you want a sticker, you go here. Go here and buy it. I get 25 cents off the sticker, but you know what? I don't have to ship it out. You can just order what you want, and they ship it right to you.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
You don't make a lot of money out of that at all. So I used to be a photographer, and my photographs are available for sale online.
Mm-hmm.
And this year I've sold about 9 or 10 photographs. They've been bought as big oil paintings. Somebody's paid $178 to have them as a big oil painting.
Nice.
Out of that, I got, I think I got 30 quid. Actually, it was £28 something out of that. And they got charged £170.
Yeah, there's not a lot of money in the
Yeah.
Same thing with people with the T-shirts and stuff. I just went to Teespring and had them made. I said, "You want them? That's where you get them." Because I've got a nephew that has a silk screening company, and he says, "Well, I can get you the shirts. I can get you this. If you want a good quality shirt that isn't going to fall apart and stuff, it's going to cost a little extra money. A good quality shirt. So if you buy, I know people that went out and had that done, and they're stuck with boxes full of T-shirts that they can't sell.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, you know what? Nah, I'm not going through all that.
Yeah.
Mine are done. I don't make a massive amount of sales. Most of my Cotswold stuff sells. And, it's greeting cards. So I make 10p on a greeting card. They make about £3. I use Redbubble.
I got a question for you, Pappy.
What you got?
Youngsters or anyone, that's getting into hobby and they're car enthusiasts. What advice would you give them, knowing what you know now to what you knew then? What advice would you give them on sitting down and trying to build a halfway decent? I'm not talking about show quality. That comes later. We all know that comes with experience. But when someone they see something you did, and they don't have it, because hey, let's be honest, it takes a little skill. It It takes skill to paint. It takes skill to, to do all that stuff. What advice would you give them about building a car model?
First thing would be patience.
Mm-hmm.
a lot of younger people do not have patience, and they think it comes. They think that it's going to happen overnight. It's not.
Right.
But to have something that you can say, "Wow, look at what I did." And what was not available to me years ago is the internet. Oh my gosh. Do your research, especially like I love old muscle cars from the 60s and 70s. And I remember being a kid in the mid 70s and picking up the hot rod magazines, picking up the Carcraft, if you remember those, the popular riding. Look at the details of that car. And I mean, now this is a 1-to-1 scale car. Learn those details. Actually get in there and wrench on them cars. If you've got it available. You can't be born with a 69 Z28 DZ engine code car in your garage, but go out there and learn the mechanics of the trade as far as of a 1-to-1 scale car. That way, when you go to the Hobby Lobby or Michael's or the Hobby Town USA, and you go down that model aisle and you go, I want to build that car right there. You'll know when you break that kit open, and I'm not going to use just this one because I went to the hobby shop last night. We went out to dinner, and I've been looking at this kit for a while.
Nice.
I've never worked on a Lamborghini Hurricane, but it's a car. It's got 4 wheels. It's got a steering wheel. It's got brakes. Learn the basics of an automobile. That way, when you get that kit right there. Now, this isn't the kit that a 12-year-old is going to pick up and go, oh, I'm going to build this.
Right.
But at least you've got the ammunition up here to know, okay, well, like, and I'm going to use, for instance, which I'm pointing all around, the disc brakes are not going to be painted. The rotor's not going to be painted blue. They're going to be silver, or they're going to be gunmetal or silver, something like that. But just don't walk into that hobby shop and go, well, let me just grab. And I remember doing this as a kid when I was starting. I didn't have the guidance of the internet or anything like that, but I had the guidance of, thank God, Carcraft and Hot Rod magazine, things like that, to where I could look at the photos and go, I want that to look like that instead of a glue bomb. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, just do the research on, and that's where kids, what I was talking about earlier, kids nowadays think, it's just automatically going to appear. It's not. It takes time. You got to learn. You have to learn the craft. You have to learn the hobby, and you got to be passionate about the hobby. I mean, I've done 1-to-1 scale cars, trucks, motorcycles, growing up. And when I sit down here at the bench, I go, well, I know that carburetor is supposed to be, it's going to be silver. It's going to have some gold in it. So, and I'll I'll look up here on my bench right here, and I've got just an array of different colors that I can mix. I can take the silvers and the coppers or the gold and do a little mixture. And when you take that picture of a carburetor and you look at that picture or what you actually painted up, it's pretty close in detail. Yeah. So, but yeah, kids nowadays are, they've got just so many things that, that can, it can take their mind off things. I mean, my God, phones.
I mean, I do that with my grandson, man. When I take his phone away, I bring him down here, and I'll drop a little. I pick up a kit for him. I said, let's put it together. And he wants to do it all right away. I'm like, no, read, instructions. Look at the instructions. You know
exactly. Yeah.
And so
Can I just say that?
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mark. Go ahead.
I was just wanting to say that if I'm not mistaken, the A pillar on that Lamborghini you showed there, I believe, is extremely thin.
I'll show you. I've opened it. I wanted to.
You get home and like, let me see.
If I remember correctly, it's one of the thinnest A pillars I've seen on a car.
It is.
And
Right.
I am right. It is that one.
Let me see if I can get the.
Yeah, it's pretty thin right there. Yep.
Whoa.
Yeah, that is thin. So fragile. Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, when I start polishing this, there's not, I wouldn't be polishing it like, with a rag like this. Right. I'll have about 3 or 4 fingers up in there and just lightly going across there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's this is oh my God. I was like a kid in the candy store last night when I seen it. I was like, great, it's still there. So I bought it and I come home and I was like, I got to check this out.
Great kit. Great kit.
I got another this question. I get this question all the time from people that paint, whether it's a figure, a car model, whatever. And I always hear this: I have to have an airbrush. And I tell them, if you don't have one, you don't need one right away. You can do some good stuff out of a can if you're patient with that can. What would you say to people that tell you, I need an airbrush to do your kind of work?
Don't go into the don't go to the expense of thinking you've got to have the best equipment to make something look good. That's why with this Plymouth Cuda that I'm doing, there's a lot of kit bashing in this kit. It actually took 3 kits to build this car.
Okay,
but that was one of the things in my YouTube channel I wanted to show people was that you don't have to go to the expense of buying a compressor and an airbrush and then learning that on top of that, because that's going to do nothing. Because airbrush, Gil can chime in on this. You don't learn an airbrush overnight.
Nope.
It's something you have to learn. I remember my first airbrush experience, and it was terrible. Oh my God. Yeah. But what I would suggest is if you're going to learn patience. One of the things that I do, and well, I keep getting out of frame here. Tape. Learn how to tape things off.
Yep.
Which I'm going to show some of my detail work on this. This is the seats that I'm using. It took me about 30 minutes to. What I first did, I sprayed this. I did all my interior work on this build with an airbrush.
Okay.
But you can get the same results using a rattle can as long as you learn how to tape things off. First thing if I was going to rattle can this, I would spray the first color. I've got 2 colors. I've got NATO black, and it's basically a primer. That's what the gray is a primer.
Okay.
But I sprayed the entire seat with a primer, and I took tape and I just taped that insert right there off, and cut it out with a sharp number 11 X-Acto blade, and then I sprayed my NATO black with my airbrush. But you can do the same thing with a rattle can. And what I see a lot of people when they rattle can something, and let me grab one of my rattle cans. They'll take it and they'll put it out there on a nasty box or something like that, and then they don't read the instructions of the can. It says hold that 8 to 12 inches away from what you're spraying. But no, I see people that they'll be on a nasty old beer box or something like that. It's got trash on it, and they'll be this close to it, but they're trying to get that coverage on one coat.
Yeah.
You can't.
You're
not going to do that. Even with an airbrush, you've got to do it in layers, but you've got to do thin layers.
Exactly.
And you have to apply. Yeah, you got it. Yeah, if you're too close, you're going. Well, especially if you're trying to achieve a finish on a body, like that.
You get too close, it's all peppy and orange.
You've got orange peel, you've got the biggest. Then you're going to learn, you're going to get discouraged. You're going to be like, well, crap, why does that not look like that? And you're going to get discouraged, and you'll get impatient, and you'll be like, and finally you're like, I've done pissed all my money away on trying to do this.
I honestly believe, I really truly believe that anyone that is competent at airbrushing at some point has been at the stage where you're like, I give up. I don't know what I'm doing wrong.
Oh yeah. No, I was there. I was there when I first.
Yeah, and I believe
I think everybody goes.
Anyone that says they just picked it up and it's gone great, it's rubbish.
Mark, I sat down when my wife bought me 1984. I remember when it was 1984 when she bought me that Badger 150, and I had believe it or not, I was using compressed air out of a can because I was in an apartment. I didn't have an air compressor, and I was learning how to do T-shirts. Now, in Chicago, you go down to the fish market, you can buy a box full of white T-shirts, man. Back then, it cost you $10. Just they were odds, like the sleeve and that stuff. So I would practice on those. And I'll tell you, back then we didn't have the internet, and I didn't. I saw people doing them in shops, in stores and stuff at the mall and stuff, but I had never knew anybody that did it, all the time. And when I sat down to do it, I had to learn all that stuff on my own. Plus, we had magazines, airbrush magazines and stuff. But yeah, I was there. I had gotten to the point where I'm like, F this. I'm not doing this anymore. My wife says, try it again. That's when you learn. You learn. After I got an air compressor, I picked up an air compressor and I started working with that. It took me about 2 months, man, to get the stroke, the dagger strokes right, the dots right, everything right. But I would come home from work, take a shower, sit down, and just, and what I did was just strokes, learning the strokes, learning how to pull that trigger back, things like that. It doesn't like Pappy said, it doesn't happen overnight. Same thing with a rattle can. Like he said, I see people that hold the can and they're spraying something and they're like right there. But they don't realize you got to be about this far away and you got to start back here. Start your spray and then move across. Stop.
Yeah.
Muscle memory.
Yep.
So right now, anybody that's still watching, if you have a question for Fred, go ahead and type it in the thing and we'll bring it up and you guys can ask questions too. But anyway, I was going to see if Mark or Gordon had questions for Fred.
You know what? I had a lot of questions at the beginning of this because I didn't know Fred until Josh mentioned you the other week, and then I started looking at your work. I mean, it's there's so many people out there, and I like your ethos. I like what you do. I like the way you work. And all my questions have been answered, really, that I had.
If I may,
when you were young, so most of us, I remember when I was young, I built, my first plane was an A10, and I thought that, I always thought big. As a child, I didn't want the tiny little kit. I wanted the big box. An A10's not a big box now, but it is to an 8-year-old. It's a massive box. And I had an A10 and I painted the A10 and I've got cement pouring out of all the joints and paint layered. Layered all over the engines and all the wrong colors. And do you have a memory of that when you were younger? Do you have a specific kit that you remember building as a youngster?
Yeah, Actually, a couple. I remember one Christmas. I was probably, I'd say 9 or 10 years old. We would at the church that we went to every Christmas we had a little Christmas party, and we would always you had to draw you had to actually you didn't draw a number. That was later on, but a boy would buy a boy gift and a girl would buy a girl gift that particular year. And of course, all we would, you'd send, your mom would go and buy, a model car, a model plane or something like that. But I remember one year, and if I remember, I'm really going to date myself because it was during the American Bicentennial, 1976. There was an MPC kit. There was an MPC kit that was floating around, and it was called the Spirit of '76.
I remember that.
And it was a van. It was a shaggin' wagon, better known as. But it was
shaggin' wagon.
Yeah, but it was. I remember it was red, white, and blue. Had the stars and stripes, airbrushed into it, and it was a beautiful. And it was an actual show van that MPC made a kit out of. Well, I got that kit that particular year. What you would do is at the day of the Christmas party, you'd go draw a number, and you would go up and you'd hand your number, I drew like number 5, and they'd have a number on each gift, and it would be the number 5 kit. So you'd pick it up, and I'd be like, oh, wow, man, I take it. And I went home, and of course, I'm a 9-year-old, maybe. I'm probably 8 or 9 at the time. But anyhow, I tried to build it and paint it all in one night, which better known as a glue bomb. But that was probably one of the kits. And I remember the next year after that, of course, the next Christmas at the church Christmas party, I remember getting it was another, and this goes to tell you, MPC kits has been around for a while. But the next year, I remember getting a AA altered fuel, top fuel Bantam, which it was a big 426 Hemi, blown engine, had the altered rear, had the altered frame on it and everything, roll cage. And I remember painting it. It was a metallic blue. The frame was painted metallic blue. The body was painted metallic blue. The engine block, because that was all, as a kid, that's all you could only go and buy one color. But I look at my desk now, and I've got metallic blues. I've got just about every Tamiya paint under the sun right here. But I remember that particular kit. I remember painting it metallic blue, and it turned out, to me as a 10-year-old, I thought it turned out pretty good because I remember carrying it to school, and we ended up when we got back to school. I remember carrying it to school, and it came back in the box in about 100 pieces. So, but yeah, those are two memorable bills, as a kid growing up. But we're kids, and I wish I still had the ones that I had growing up now, because of course, every model kit that we've all been accused of it. You would build it. Of course, it'd be a glue bomb back in the day, and it would suffer the demise of a firecracker or setting it on fire or something like that. So, I wished I still had those kits. I wish I had a lot of the the Hot Wheels that I used to have growing up, because they were coming out when I was like 6 years old back in 69. So I really am dating myself.
On a more serious note, how do you see our hobby today? How do you think we're doing as a hobby? Do you think that this COVID has helped?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, I do as well. Yeah.
The reason I say that, to be honest, I buy a lot of stuff. I love going to the hobby shop. When my wife tells me, "Hey, we're going out to eat," I always try to plan. Okay, well, we're going to be close to the hobby shop, so I can kind of do that. But I have been doing a lot of
Man, that's my own art.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of purchasing online, and I buy from a lot of online retailers. Model Roundup. I'm just going to, I'll throw it's, it's helped. It's given. It's gives, it's give our hobby. We've trained for this for years to be pent up at home and build.
Yeah.
So
we have.
Yeah, I think it's helped set people down and get back to the things that that we grew up and the passion that we grew up doing. So yeah, it's not been a good thing, but it has been a good thing.
And I think the whole streaming thing, all the big conventions are seeing how that's helpful, so more people are involved.
Yeah,
I think all these online streaming conventions I don't think they're going away. I think we're going to start seeing a lot more.
Yeah, it's and like I was saying earlier, I mean, y'all brought up. I mean, I'm in the airline industry. I work for probably one of the largest airlines in the world, and I mean, we've seen a hit. We've seen a hit in our operations, and not only people's not traveling as much. There's been massive layoffs. There's been there's been cut. They've actually went to a lot of the employees and offered them some of them that's eligible for early retirement, and it's touched somebody somehow. And do I they ask me all the time, do I foresee things getting better? And basing that upon airline travel, as far as do I see airline travel start? Yes, it is coming back up. I mean, it's not fast, it's slow. But I remember when trying to think in April when it really started hitting the fan. I was at work one day, and I work at the busiest airport in the world, Hartsfield, Atlanta, and for that airport to be quiet eerily quiet. It was very reminiscent to 9/11. Compared from that time, from what happened in 9/11 to what happened, back in March, and now to the present date, I'm starting. It's not doing this kind of an increase. It's more of like a plateau, but it's getting better. So, with and with the hobby, yeah, I'm seeing, a lot of people on YouTube also. They're posting a lot more with their builds. I'm seeing new faces that they're hey, I've been watching you for years, Pappy, but I try to welcome everybody. Just like people, pay it forward. There was when I came on YouTube, I was one of those new faces. What's this guy? What's he all about?
So I think Gordon wanted to come in with a question there. Bear with me.
What would be your Grail kit that you would love to build?
My holy grail. Oh my goodness. Great question, Gordon. That's asked of a lot of builders. And I've seen it at shows, but I'm not going to pay the price that I've seen for it. I've seen it on eBay. I've seen it at a lot of shows that I go to, but they've got a nice price tag on it. But there's a monogram. There's a monogram kit out there. I forgot what year it was popped the first time, but it's a 63 split window Corvette, 1/12 scale. And I've seen it at actually 4 or 5 shows that I've attended in the last 6 years, and they're going upward from 200 to sealed kits for 500.
Wow.
Would I buy one of those? No, because I have other hobbies other than than this. I'm a gun nut. I believe in my Second Amendment. So let me just put it right there on that. I have a love for firearms, but would I spend $500 on a model kit? I might, but would I spend $500 on a firearm in a minute? But not on a piece of plastic right yet. But probably the most. But that would be my holy grail. That would be my holy grail kit. Would be that. Reason being, I mean, 63 split window. It's just the body lines. That particular kit, if I remember correctly, has got a 427 big block in it. You can build it. I think it comes with two versions. You can do it as a hot rod, or you could do it just like it would have rolled off the floor in Bowling Green, Kentucky. So, but that would be mine.
If somebody came up to your door now with that kit and said, "Here it is, $200, it's yours,"
you'd show them the other hobby.
I'd probably look around, see who's looking, and just pull $200 out of my wallet. Yeah, I probably would. Do I need it though? Oh my goodness! I mean, you can't be in this hobby with the dedication of having. You got to have a stash. And if I was to take y'all out to my stash out in my garage right now, you'd probably go, "Damn, the hobby shop moved in here." I've probably got 200. I probably got 200 kits out there that I've never. Will I ever build them? Probably not. But when I build, like if I get an idea for a car or a truck, I've got the access of, I get it in my head, how I want to build it, what modifications I want to do to it. And for a good, for an instance, which we've already talked about, the Holy Grail. People ask me all the time, Pappy, what's going to be your next build? Well, my next build's up here, but I have, if I'll leave you this kit right here. I keep a good, I buy these, I probably got 10 of these kits out in the garage right now, and probably 10 of the 67 Chevelle Pro Street kits, because I do a lot of kit bashing out of them, this one especially. But this particular, I've got a bunch of bodies. I got the cab, the bed, and is it going to be a four-wheel drive? No, it's not going to be a four-wheel drive. Let me get I've had it on my phone here. As a matter of fact, my wife and I was in here talking about this a little bit while ago. If we were talking earlier about the Street Outlaws, that's a very good, watch, kids need to watch that. Don't do as I say and don't do as I do, but that gives you a good idea of, hey, I'd like to build that car. I don't want to act like them, but I want to build that car.
Right.
Well, Gas Monkey Garage, and I always enjoyed watching them.
Oh yeah, I used to love that show. Yep.
I did too.
Yeah, I've heard of this one.
They built this truck, and unfortunately, it's led to its demise. It was wrecked not too long ago. So there's a guy on YouTube that bought it, and he's rebuilding it. Well, I'm going to take that kit right there and turn it into this build right here. I may not, go, I will slam it. I've got ideas of, I'm going to use a big block. I'm not going to put a LSA engine, anything like that. I'm just going to use a big block 396 Chevy engine, slam it to the ground. I've got my choice of wheels right here, which I've probably got 100. I've got Pegasus. I've got Steve Zimmerman's. I've got JPS wheels right here beside me. I've got a bulletin board, probably 100 wheels and tire combinations on it.
I'm assuming Mr. Mini Dreams.
Oh yeah, I know that.
Yeah, because Mr. Mini Dreams, he knows he's big on his cars as well, and I noticed some similarities with the with the pictures you're showing. They're sort of the things that he and it just seems that the two of you would get on immensely well if you don't already know him.
We've conversed when he used to have he used to do a live YouTube. I would get on his chats and stuff a lot, and we've conversed a pretty good bit. If I remember correctly, I think David came down to the Acme show. I want to say one time, but we never crossed paths. But he's another. I used to get into his lives, and we would just the chats, and we would converse back and forth. He's another one that I miss seeing.
He's dropped off the radar a bit lately.
Yeah. I'm sure life gets in the way for a lot of people, but
I don't know what's happened. Me and David used to talk quite a lot. He was coming on here as a guest one time, but it just sort of I don't know what happened. He hasn't been on very much at all. And he was a great guy. He had so much enthusiasm.
Yeah, very knowledgeable.
Promoting the hobby. And it's a shame he's not about at the moment. I hope he's doing well wherever he is.
Yeah, me too. He's been another influence of thing. David would. He did cars, he did trucks, he did figures, and the whole 9 yards. That's another thing. Just don't burn yourself out on one genre. Cars, trucks. Yeah. Open it up to all. I just recently, I've started doing little small dioramas and stuff, and that helps me to take the focus off bright and shiny. And kit bashing the heck out of one versus, I can, open up. It's like taking a picture out of my mind, but putting it down in a diorama.
Mm-hmm.
Have you got a diorama in your mind that you think maybe, I want to do this? This is something, because I know I've got something that I really want to do, and I don't think I'm ready for it yet. Have you got a project that you want to do but you don't think you're quite ready for?
Always. not just a diorama. I mean, it's but with a diorama, I mean, you've got so many different areas of detail, as far as with the washes, adding scenery and that comes from you need to get a little bit more familiar with when you do a diorama, with like model railroading. That was another thing I used to want to do when I was a kid. I always wanted to model railroad, but we didn't have number one, we didn't have the money. Number two, we didn't have the space. But you can get ideas from look at a model railroading magazine. Look at the detail. Oh my goodness! As far as the trees and the sceneries and things like that, and you can expand your what you've got up here you're trying to build and use those ideas to right there. One of the guys I was interviewed at one of the shows from one of the YouTubers is James Smith. I'm trying to remember his channel name, but he interviewed me one time. He was like, Pappy, when you approach a bill, how do you approach it? And I said, a masterpiece at a time. What do you mean by that? I said, well, you take the basics of a car or a truck, you take the body, you take the frame, you take the engine, and you take the interior, and you got basically 4 integral pieces of a bill. And you need to make a masterpiece out of each one of those. As far as the interior, you need to make a small masterpiece with that. Then the engine, you got to do a masterpiece with it. And finally, you've got all the you got the makings of everything that you can turn into a big masterpiece.
Yeah.
And when I said that, it kind of he's like, that's a good analogy. And I was like, well, and sometimes my little small pieces of a masterpiece might be and I take a page from it might be a turd.
Yeah.
but sometimes you got to take that turd and polish it into a diamond every now and then. But yeah, just it's just each one's a work in progress, and going back to what I said earlier, I'm my worst critic. I always go, God, that looks like crap.
So, who do you follow? Who do you look up to?
Through the communities that I follow.
Yeah, there must be somebody that you go online and you like I do. I would go to. So when it comes to figures, I'm completely honest. I go to Gil's channel. Gil is my Gil is God when it comes to painting figures.
Yeah, I agree. It's
So who do you look up to for your cars? Is there a certain person that?
Oh God, there's so many. There's so many that I have. I look at their details of each one. I mean, there's so many that I do follow. I mean, I on my YouTube, I've got. Oh my gosh, I think at the moment I think I have I don't look at how many follow me, but the other day I think I had like 1,100 and over 1,100 subscribers to my channel. And I appreciate each one. I always try to reciprocate their channel back, and whether I can help them out and usually they're, it's not really one that I try to follow and give kudos to. I mean, there's, I look at, everybody's that I do follow. I take, I might look at something and go, wow, I need to try that. Everybody thinks I've done a lot. I do a lot, but I try to take something from every channel that I'm subscribed to, whether it's on Facebook or YouTube or Instagram. And but I mean, I look at when I first got back in, or when I got into the hobby, and then when I got established on YouTube, I was following Chip Chevy Cheeseburger, Dr. Cranky.
Classic.
Yeah, classic. Oh my gosh, Chris Cortell.
What he does with Future, man, it's like what?
Yeah. I mean, Chris. There's so many out there. That's what's so great now, because the kids now, and when you remember when YouTube, I think about maybe a year and a half ago, they started, had to go through because of the COPA Act.
Yeah.
And we had to say our channel was either for kids or not for kids.
Yeah.
Did I agree with that? No, I didn't. Because the reason I don't agree with it is because I want the kids and the teenagers, as well as, the people that's, 21 and above, to see what we're doing. And if we're limiting it to, if I look at my, my analog, or not my analog, but my statistics.
Yeah.
What my statistics are, through YouTube, and who watches my channel, it's older, anybody from 21 and above. I would rather it be, we could open it up to kids, down to, 10 years get them more interested in, when they go, to the hobby shop or go shopping with mom or dad, they walk down that hobby aisle and go, hey, I remember that's the kit that Pappy said to buy. And I want to do, I want to try to do what he is. We're being limited.
Sorry, interrupt there, because I noticed when I went to look at your channel, I was asked a question by YouTube. It told me that your channel, what I was about to say might not be appropriate for me. And I thought of the, you just mentioned briefly there, we all went through that thing where we had to answer, is our channel for children or not? And when I read that question, I thought, oh, he's actually put that his channel is an adult channel only. And I was curious about that. I understand why, because it's so confusing. nobody was given any real guidance on what to do. Some people went with the theory, yes, we are for children. Other people went, no, we're not. So I did want to ask you about that. I'm glad you brought that up. So do you think maybe you want to change? Could you change that answer, or do you think you went in the right way? Or because at the moment you're kind of restricted to sort of young children and people like that can't watch your channel.
Yeah, it's they, when all of this unfolded with YouTube, there was so many unanswered questions. We were, they started out saying, well, if you don't restrict your channel to 18 and below, and if we find you are in violation of the COPA Act, we could charge you, or not charge you, but they could fine you X amount of dollars per video.
Frightening.
Per video.
Frightening.
And I'm like, I can't afford to be hit with a fine like that. But then again, too, good luck trying to get it out of the millions and millions of other people that's like that. Well, there was so many unanswered questions. But we're we kind of got our arm get twisted behind our back to where if you want to post content on YouTube, you got to apply by our rules. So I was like, okay, but now knowing what I know now to the present date, would I change a lot of them? Yeah, I'm going to go through quite a few bits. A backlog of different videos. I think I had I forget what my backlog of videos that I had to change was, but I had to manually go through every one of them to put, for 18, 18 and above. I'd probably have to do the same thing. But now with YouTube allowing, when you post content on there, prior to publishing it, for public view, it'll ask you now, is this for 18 and above or below? Do you want this to go out to kids? You have to answer those two questions. I guess it's because my arm's still behind my back. I'm still uncertain of what could happen.
And I totally understand why you went the way you did, because I was on the fence. Fortunately, I'm such a small channel. And at the time when that happened, I was even smaller. So, it wasn't really a problem, but even I felt the pressure from, do I go this way or that? And so anyone that's got a bigger channel, I can completely see why I can see arguments for both sides. I think YouTube were completely unfair. I don't think it was fair what they done. I still don't understand the process behind it.
I don't either. I mean, it's I don't try to, I don't want to be political in what I enjoy.
Right.
When Big Brother is watching, and I'm going back to the, starting to go to the H.G. Wells thing, Big Brother is watching, what do we do? I mean, if we want to put our content on something that's government run, what are we going to do? I mean, there's nothing that we can do except for comply with it. So I was just like, you know what? It's just kind of like just shake playing craps. Just throw the dice and see what happens.
Yeah.
Well, and see now, some of the other places are now starting to come down. That COPA Act is now hitting them, because I know Twitch starting, I think December, they have to start doing the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's we were going back to the to our old hangouts, like when Gil used to host his, Young Model Master hosted his, and we all did it on Google Hangout. Well, it's a Google owned thing, and then all of a sudden, Google says, well, we're not going to support that program anymore. So I got to technically have to figure out how to get on here, in other means.
Yeah.
So Google turned around and goes to YouTube again. Well, Google owns YouTube, but they said, okay, we're going to give everybody a live button up here in the top, and you can go live. Well, when you hit live for the first time, it says, well, you got to have 1,000 subscribers or more in order to do this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, a lot of these people were just like, they give up the ghost. Well, fortunately, I was at about 980 something. And I was just like, guess what? I'm not too far out. And it wasn't very, very much longer. I had 1,000. So I tried to go live one day. And the only way that you could go live was on your PC, as far as your laptop or your home computer. But they didn't support it on this thing here.
Right.
Even though you got 1,000, they had you by the short hairs again. And they said, well, this is, we're going to tighten that up a little bit more to where you can't get on your live. So they succeeded in what they were doing, and we'll find other means in order to promote.
Well, I stopped using it, and I use like the Streamlabs to go live or whatever. Or there's other programs. They're not as stable. Well, this one is pretty good, but they're not as stable as Google used to be, because Google Hangouts was pretty stable, man.
It was,
So they did that because of, from what I understand, it was those live hangouts. There was a lot of stuff on there that they didn't want kids watching, etc.
No.
In that respect, I agree with that, because I can tell you, man, some of my hangouts, some of those guys. I mean, we had, God bless him, John Goldsberry, the Irish brother. He'd sit in the tub, man, with a bubble bath, and he's in a hangout. He's in a tub. I mean, it's like, and he's just cutting up in the language and all that. But how. I mean,
I can relate, Gil. I can relate. I remember back in those days of the Friday night hangouts, when I first started. Thank God, I've given up drinking. I'm an old sailor. I've drank enough whiskey to float a battleship around in, but I've been 2 years sober now, and thank God, by the grace of God, I've given that up. But I look back, and we were doing a little small Facebook Messenger hangout with some of the old guys from Facebook last night, and we got to talking about some of the Friday night hangouts that we used to have, and how drunk we used to.
I remember those.
Oh my God. There was some nights on Friday nights I was just like, oh my God, how did I make it down the hallway?
I remember those days. I remember because I started doing it about 7 years ago, and I remember. Oh God,
yeah,
some of the things that happened in there, and we'd even have somebody pop in and their wife is naked in the background. It's like, whoa, what's going on here? I mean, they would get pretty wild, man. They would.
They would. They were good times, though.
But we had fun. We had fun doing it. It was you ain't getting away with it nowadays. With what we
by no means. And two, a lot of when I get in here especially when I get in here in the model room, I get into a zone.
Yeah.
And I will. I got two Bluetooth speakers right here. And a lot of times, which my hearing has suffered over the years from a lot of stuff that goes boom, a lot of stuff airline is attributed to, but just music, I would put my earbuds in my ears and I would get back here just jamming and building and having a good time. And finally, of course, my hearing has really suffered over the years. But now I've got these Bluetooth speakers, and I'll sit here and I'll be in my own little zone, just having me just a great little time. And but it's I kind of go, man, we used to have fun on them Friday nights. We had a blast.
That's why a lot of guys will tell me, how come you don't paint a live hangout? Well, I'm not in the zone, man. I gotta have music blowing, I mean, the music's loud and my wife's banging on the floor to turn it down, and I've got walls I've got baffling in the walls and stuff, but I got a sound system here, man, where you can hear it down the street, and it's right in front of me. It's right in front of me. I got it so loud that when I'm done, my ears are ringing. I'm like, huh? But you get into that zone, like you were talking about. You get in that zone that you just before you know it, you're done. Yeah.
Yeah, I could. I mean that's it's inspiration. I'll get in here and I'll put on, some of my, some of the music that I grew up with. Led Zeppelin, Bob Seger, Atlanta Rhythm Section. I'll put on some of that good old classic rock and roll, and I'll sit in here and Vicky, my wife, she comes in here and sometimes if it gets quiet in here, I've usually put my earbuds in, and she come in here one night scared the living bejesus out of me. She tapped me on the shoulder, and I was just like, I like to come unglued. But now she'll come in here and she'll either knock or something like that, make sure, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine.
I'm good. I'm good. Yeah, I know the feeling.
So, anyway, we've been on here for about 2 hours. Unless Gordon has another question.
Wow. Time flies when you're having fun.
I know.
Sorry.
The problem is, and it's not that we don't want to cut this short. StreamYard over a month, we can only have so many hours, and Mark will start getting charged for it. So, yeah. So we try to take. We're not. It is a free service, but we don't want to start having him pay $40 a month. So, yeah, gets pretty spendy.
Yeah.
So,
come back next week. It was a great. It was a great interview. I loved it.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate it. When Josh asked me the other day, he was like, "Can you do it this Sunday?" I was on shift last week and I couldn't. But this morning when I got up, my wife said, "Are you still going to participate in the podcast?" I was like, "Yeah." I said, "Matter of fact, Josh sent me an invite not too long ago." So, but it's been great. I really appreciate it. I've enjoyed it.
Do you want to come on again?
Absolutely. If the invite's there, if the invite's there, I'd be glad. I'd be honored to.
I know. Ignore Angela.
Voice, man. She loves that voice.
Oh God.
I think you would be a great. Let us talk after this. Let us talk when we come off there. Sorry, Gordon.
Put the screen back onto all of us then.
Oh yeah, my apologies. I'm just I'm trying to keep up with the chat and everything. So anyway, that was our Josh's interview with
Pappy, Fred Henry.
Pappy, yeah. I'm reaching over just to this piece of paper for no other reason than it's got his name on. My memory's rubbish, Fred.
Don't feel bad.
Truly, truly bad. Anyway, yeah, that was our interview, and what an interview it was! It was superb. It's wow! I can't believe we're what are we? We're over 2 hours. Excellent. Thoroughly enjoyed it. I hope you all did too.
Same here. I did. Really did. Enjoy the camaraderie with everybody in this hobby. I tell you, that's one of the things that I enjoy. You can take me to a show. I could go to a show and not put anything down on the table. As long as I'm sitting there having fun with guys like you, all of you, man, that's the payoff for me.
Yeah,
that's a big payoff.
Awesome. Brilliant. That's it. That's what it's all about. Anyway, good night to you all, and we'll see you all again next week. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.
Thanks for having me. Y'all take care.
Take care now, Pappy.
You too, Gil.